It's my feel-good breakfast show.
It is your feel-good breakfast show, Expresso on S3. And yes, it's our birthday, but also a day to focus on something vitally important. Now, with World Stroke Day approaching on the 28th of October, we brought in the experts to help us prevent this life-altering event. Now, here to tell us a bit more about the foundation and give us some insight into general brain health is CEO of the foundation, Professor Pamela Naidu, as well as our favorite doctor, Dr. Darren Green is here, wearing, yes, you guessed it, green. And then Dr. Naeem Bray is here to chat to you as well. Welcome to our experts. It's great to have all of you here.
Dr. Bray, he's our favorite just from longevity.
Yeah, don't worry.
He's been here for 8 years. It's not a professional nod, okay? We absolutely adore him. So happy birthday.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
You guys have come on the perfect day, so thank you so much for being here to celebrate, and thank you for your commitment to our viewers and their health, buddy. Thank you so much for all of your help. Pamela, thank you for your commitment in this space, because few have been able to achieve what you guys have as an organization for decades in a space that I would imagine has been through some rocky periods, requires a huge amount of love and dedication and fortitude. What has been the key to your longevity? Obviously, we know the need is there, but for an organization to dominate in the space and do as much good work as you have, what has that taken?
Thanks so much. So it's a double celebration, right?
Yes.
It's our birthday as well, so that's amazing. And I didn't realize black was the theme, so I'm glad
Yeah,
I'm all
no,
black.
we want to raise the
So
game.
I think the success of it's a non-profit, as you know. We don't get a cent from government. I think that it tells a whole story in itself. And I think it's just, you know, the great work, but it's also the vision of the founders 42 years ago, where cardiovascular disease was not a burden of disease in South Africa.
Wow.
And indeed, not even in Africa
We just didn't
as
know.
a continent, But we knew it was heading our way, because if you look historically at transitions in lifestyle, in the corporates, how they moved from countries to continents, and we knew it was going to hit us sooner or later. And then, of course, the process of urbanization and all of that. So as we sit here today, heart disease and strokes and its associated risk factors like hypertension, diabetes and obesity and so on, it's the highest burden of all disease conditions in the country.
Wow.
So we're very relevant. We have a very good governance, and we have amazing funders who trust us to do the work. I think that's key to
Well, you've proven your
success.
track record, and I know, kind of working in sponsorship procurement in that space, having a proven track record, the financials are so vitally important. So well done, and thank you for playing that part. Thank you so much.
So we've got our heart sorted out, and of course, heart, strokes, everything is connected, and we are chatting about brain health, and this is where Dr. Darren Green, I'd like a bit of a look, sort of a spread over of brain health in general and some of the things that we need to keep in mind, because I feel like this is a sort of underserviced part of sort of health in general. We've got so many things to focus on. We're not even focusing on the thing that's making it all happen, the brain.
It's a magnificent organ, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, we all know that your experience of the world, every single sense, smell, sight, taste, feeling, touch, physical touch, is all relayed through the brain.
Through the brain.
And your experience in life and quality of life is relayed to some of your memories in that space.
Yes.
And how we function and contribute to society on a day-to-day is also dependent on a fully functioning brain in terms of the basics, but also in terms of executive function, planning, judgment, etc., and learning even.
Higher thinking.
So no matter your phase of life, the brain as an organ is just a magnificent organ. And when it comes to brain health, I'm afraid, the most important things involved there obviously are oxygen, which it needs to survive and to perform its function. And until about 15 years ago, we thought glucose as the main nutrient. But fortunately, over the development of many years, we've discovered alternative sources of energy and fuel for the brain cells, like ketone bodies, for example. So interesting that the learnings that we've got from research over the many years about the nutrients the brain requires. But that's a whole discussion on its own.
Naeem, thank you so much for bringing an actual brain into studio. Finally, we have one to share. I think the presenters have been calling for this for a very long time.
Thank goodness it's here.
We'll get into this in just a moment. I'm going to ask you to think for a spot, if you will, about some of the misconceptions about brain health, because I think misinformation is probably one of your biggest demons in the work that you do. And then we're going to touch on the work that the Heart and Stroke Foundation do on a daily basis. So think about that, Doc. We didn't bring you here to actually talk, just to look pretty.
Yeah.
We're going to chat to the doctors in just a moment. And of course, we'd love to hear your perspective, especially if you have a personal connection and have been through something like this and you have had help from this incredible medical fraternity. 063-408-8863. That is the WhatsApp line to use. Please drop us a voice note. And yes, this is a safe place.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back to your Feel Good Breakfast Show. And what you eat, how much you move, whether you smoke, and controlling your cholesterol and blood pressure are 5 things that can have a big impact on your heart and, of course, your brain. And we've got some guests on our couch here today to celebrate, because World Stroke Day is the 29th of October. CEO of the Heart and Stroke Foundation, Professor Pamela Naidu, as well as Dr. Darren Green and Dr. Naeem Bray are still with us to chat to you and delve into heart health as well. So Naeem has been sitting here and brought the
He's
brain.
ready, man. He's been sitting up at attention. Doc, thank you so much again for joining us in this space. I was joking about the fact that often there is misinformation, or we self-diagnose, we go to Dr. Google.
Yeah.
When you look at brain health within your space, what are some of those big misconceptions about the health of our brain?
Sure. So I think to start off, there's 2 main things that people get wrong. Brain diseases, they are preventable, right? It's not inevitable. And that alone should make you change what you do.
Wow.
And that's powerful. The second thing is brain diseases are, in the main, many of them are treatable. And the most common ones, stroke, headaches and so on, they are treatable, right?
Yeah.
So I think if people leave realizing that brain health, we can change the way our brain ages, and we can treat diseases once they occur. I think that's powerful. And then something else that is really powerful is that the most significant risk factors for stroke, which is extremely common, it's hypertension, it's lack of exercise, it's poor diet, it's diabetes, it's smoking, it's alcohol, it's poor sleep. What you notice about all of those things? They're modifiable.
Yeah, they are well within
Yes.
your
Right?
control.
So that means the power is in your hands to determine how your brain ages, how your body ages. So maybe brain health sounds a bit esoteric or out there. If you think about heart health, what you have to do? Exercise, move. That will make a big difference in terms of your brain health and preventing dementia. So what we saw now, yoga, movement, those are things that preserve the functioning of your neurons and hopefully help you to age well. And this is a slight aside, you haven't asked it yet, but I've thought about I've come into contact with a number of elders in my family, and I've saw how some of them are in their 80s and they are sharp, they are fit,
Switched on, yeah.
right? And so I thought, I'm middle-aged now, how do I want to age?
Yeah.
Do I want to age like the uncle who is proverbial uncle,
For sure.
who is fit out playing tennis, walking around, jogging.
About to do the Cape Town Marathon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or the uncle who unfortunately has had a stroke or a heart attack and is a bit bigger than he was a few years ago. And I suppose we should all think about that now to determine how do we want to age and make it a choice.
Let that sink into your brain. Put it in there. I love that.
That was
very
I
powerful.
felt like a
yeah.
reprimand as well. I'm not gonna lie. But we do have a voice that has come through. Adrian has weighed in as well. Let's take a listen.
Is coffee good for the brain?
Better be.
Well, that was just a quick statement. Is
Yeah,
coffee good for the brain? Look here, if any of you say no, you're leaving.
Yeah, you'll certainly never be back. Let's just say that.
My brother is a coffee aficionado.
Okay.
He will execute me if I say anything to the contrary. No, but in all honesty,
Yes.
like everything, moderation is the key. Right? So up to 3-4 cups a day, that's fine.
All right.
Right? More than that, if you're having tremor, if you can't sleep, that's too much.
Yeah.
Okay? So moderation is the key. There are antioxidants. It's an accepted stimulant. So there are advantages to coffee. And there are some studies that suggest that it may prevent certain diseases. But in excess, it can cause heart disease to a degree, atrial fibrillation to a degree. But it's a smaller risk factor. But 6 cups and more. Most people are fine.
It's a fine line. Okay, right.
Guys, I've got to ask this because we see there is obviously a relationship between emotion and brain health, and I think and exercise, and that all kind of forms part of the thrust. Music makes us feel good. The right kind of music can calm our brains. You play like Baroque classical music can stimulate a baby's brain in ways that are mind-blowing. What kind of role does music play and relaxation and going into that space for the brain? I don't know who wants to answer that.
I go. You like to.
I'll compliment what you say.
Ooh, okay.
I have something to say
And what a
about
compliment.
it as well.
If you think about why music is so powerful, it allows you to move the brain into what's called a relaxed physiological state. And in that space, you are less susceptible to distraction. You also get to focus and be mindful on one specific thing. When you are listening to a song, you get people that listen to the melody, and you get people that listen to the lyrics. And often you either or and not both. And it's interesting because your brain is wired in that way, where some people are drawn to rhythms, melody, etc., and others aren't. But relaxed physiological state, ability to actually focus and become entrenched and absolutely relaxed in that moment, where your brain is then in a position, perfectly positioned to respond to any threat or anything that threatens your survival. So the role of music in helping you with so many things like relaxation, sleep, learning, focus, concentration, obviously is absolutely endless.
Especially Eye of the Tiger. That'll take
Mood.
Do you want to comment?
Yeah, I do want to comment because you see, the thing is, all of these issues we're talking about, you have to think about it in the context of cumulative risk. Okay, so if you're drinking too much coffee, if you have daily stresses that are way too high, then you're going to need tools like music and meditation and yoga to actually just bring you down, to a much calmer level. Because if you think about what actually drives heart disease and strokes, it is really hypertension. What drives hypertension is a number of things, obviously. It's genetic, sometimes familial, but it's also because you're not stopping. You know, I always quote Robin Sharma, who says we're too busy being busy. And that's not a
For the
great
sake
idea.
of,
It's not a great idea. And the thing about it also is that, if you detox the brain, when you stop thinking too much, then actually you become a way more productive person.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Yeah. So, you just need to think about it. All of these issues, it's really about the cumulative risk and how do I want to manage that risk.
I love that. And for me, the music, a good dance, the exercise,
Yes.
defrags the brain. It just kind of lets those neurons sort themselves out somehow.
Yeah,
So should we do a little bit of healing right now?
We did yoga. We need to still do music as a little practice for your brain now. So shall we go into that now?
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back as we continue our 12th birthday celebrations, doing what we love the most, and that's informing you and empowering ourselves in the process. We are wrapping up our discussion around brain health this morning with our amazing panel of experts, CEO of the Heart and Stroke Foundation, running for 4 decades now, Professor Pamela Naidu, Dr. Darren Green, and of course, Dr. Naeem Bray. They are all still with us. Thank you so much. This has been enlightening.
It has indeed. But let's start off with, World Stroke Day is on the 29th of October. You have a Heart and Stroke Foundation that's been around for 4 decades. There's got to be a tonic to that. And for anybody who would like to support that, because the thing is that funds that you raise, it's not just for, the show, for the building. It's, there are a lot of people's livelihoods, but also there's a lot of research that goes into what you guys do. So, the secret sauce of running it for 4 decades, it's got to be some sort of public support.
What do you need?
Absolutely. So I think one of the strongest pillars we have is nutrition.
Yes.
And we have a really amazing schools program, which is around lifestyle, but a specific one is around stroke as well, where we teach the little ones what the symptoms of a stroke are. So when they're with grandma and grandpa and, being taken care of by the grandparents, they can recognize it. So really, I think the emphasis is on the foundation level years. So that kind of, if one just sort of looks at the foundation level, that's where we need to start the prevention efforts. And so that's for stroke specifically.
Yes.
But in terms of the nutrition pillar, what we really like to do is to educate parents that from, we talk about the first 1,000 days, which begins in utero.
Yes.
So if you can not introduce your child to sugar, salt, excessive salt, and bad fats, then I think you're a winner. Then you're going to see lower numbers
that's the first
and
step,
older,
yeah.
you know, having a stroke because you're older, not because you've led a lousy lifestyle.
And you're also starting to then teach your children from a cultural perspective, a food culture. They are learning, and that's embedded from an early age. We've, of course, got some geniuses on the other side of the camera, and they've been weighing in with some voice notes this morning. Let's hear our next voice notes and get a bit of your perspective.
What is the cause of a headache?
Ooh,
Okay, that was Sean.
nice. Shaughnessy, Shaughnessy. Doc?
It's not a specific stroke-related question, firstly.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the postulated theories for headache, there are normally two theories. The one is a vascular theory involving blood supply to specific areas of the brain. And there are different things that can affect blood supply, obviously, as you know,
Yes.
from anything from blockages and bleeds all the way through to an inflammatory process as well that can affect the blood vessels. But then you also have actual nerve tissue that could originate with inflammation or an origin of a trigger that cascades a number of events leading to the eventual headache. Then there are obviously, I think there are over about 280 types of headaches that are related to different factors.
How many are related to
So-
excessive alcohol consumption?
Quite a few.
Quite a few, I would imagine, yeah. Look after yourself, but a great question, a great question.
And then Hazel's got another question for our panel today.
Good morning, doctors. I'd like to know if you have extremely loud noise in your ears, if there's any help for that, and if that comes from something that's wrong with the brain. Thank you.
Wow, that's an
right.
interesting
Very,
one.
very
Just to
intriguing.
spice it up, Doc.
So that is an interesting phenomena. The one thing we'll think about is tinnitus, and there are different causes for that. The short answer is definitely go and see a doctor. There is usually treatment for that, a number of different treatments, but obviously assessment first and then treatment. Yeah. But there's options, there's help.
There is help out there, an amazing team like this. I'm just going to ask you, Doc, I'm going to ask you because I can see you're pumped and your heart is in the space. What do you do and say to yourself in this space? How do you keep yourself motivated? Because it looks like you've taken a lot of this on board in your own journey, which is quite an authentic, powerful thing in itself.
So thank you, that's a fantastic question. And I just want to applaud actually the Heart and Stroke Foundation and you guys for doing a phenomenal effort. I mean, I don't think you realize how much change you can facilitate by touching so many lives. So thank you guys and wishing you all the best for many, many years ahead. And in terms of my own personal journey, I think it is easier if it is authentic.
Yeah.
And like all of us, those things I said about what we can do to preserve brain health, they're not necessarily easy, but they are good. It's going to take a bit of work. So my sort of personal motto at the moment is better than yesterday. So if I am struggling while I'm running or cycling, or I'm struggling to get out of bed.
Yeah.
And then I think, okay, the goal is better than yesterday. I got this. So that's my own personal motto, and hopefully someone finds resonance in that, and so that we can improve ourselves constantly.
Wow. Incredible.
Come on, buddy, can we bring you back for a few more? We've got some psychological things coming up. We've got the Cape Town Marathon. I think we can use this kind of motivation. You guys are truly amazing. Darren, thank you again so much for being our resident doc, dude. I know we have used and abused that privilege outside of the show, so we really do appreciate it. But all of you are clearly doing amazing work in your space. Good luck for this month of awareness. I hope it brings millions in funding apart from anything else. But just that one first step to change someone's life. I'm going to end it with this: better than yesterday.
Let's Zumba.